Three, two, one.
Welcome back to the Lightforge Arena Tier List Valuation Podcast slash YouTube VOD slash stream. We are breaking down the scores for the Lightforge Arena Tier List. The expansion doesn't launch. This is Sunday night. The expansion doesn't launch until Tuesday noonish or like afternoon. But we're all done here, so we're telling you all the scores, so you can be very prepared for the meta when it does drop.
Yeah. All right. We're talking about the not so good cards.
Yeah, we're past the relevant cards. So we started with the top 7, which are like, if you don't know anything about this meta, know that stuff. Then we went to the relevant cards, which is like, if you care about the arena, you're going to see these so much that you should know how to deal with the micro strategies for each of these and how they impact stuff. Now we're at the, you just know these cards for fun. Because they don't really impact the arena. Because they're so bad that even in the arena, you'll rarely see them. So let's start with the best of the bad cards. It is Glide Tech. Like, in all seriousness, if you want to, you can skip this video and go on to the classes video. I wouldn't blame you. 3 mana, 3/3, Glide Tech. Battle Cry. If you control a mech, gain +1/+1 and rush.
There's not that many mechs. And a 3 mana 3/3 is not good. That's all the analysis that you really need.
All right, next up. This one needs more analysis. Tasty Flyfish. I'll let you take this. It's a 2 mana 2/2 Murloc. Death Rattle. Give a dragon in your hand +2/+2. And it is rated at 86, which makes it on par with like South Sea Captain and Stormwind Knight and Ancient Mage. Like, not a good area. But it's a dragon synergy.
It's a dragon synergy, and all right, Tasty Flyfish, 2 mana 2/2 Murloc. It's got a Murloc tag for, BGs. Death Rattle, give a dragon in your hand +2/+2. Now, if you hit this, it's really good. But let's consider a few things. How good is a 2 mana 2/2? It's really bad. It's really, really bad, right? When you get this card, we have talked about how many dragons are in your deck. Not that many. This is most relevant on turn 2. You're probably not going to hold a dragon in your hand because dragons are really, really big. And if you are actually keeping that 6 mana dragon in your hand in order to get the Death Rattle, you're actually doing yourself a lot more harm than good because you're playing a card down for the first 5 turns. So later on, when you get this card, there's not a huge chance that you have a dragon, and also later on, +2/+2 is not as relevant. So this card, it's really one of those things in which bad stats, you have really, really little chance to have a dragon in your hand when it matters. And then when you do have a dragon in your hand later on in the game, then it doesn't matter. So that's why it sucks. It just really, really sucks.
It just really doesn't matter. Like,
yeah,
they built this card in a way that it just doesn't matter. If you buff something, you can't play it because it's too big for many, many turns, so it's super delayed. Or it's a dragon you wanted to play anyway, but now you've had to hold it in your hand until this thing dies, and so that hurts you. Or it's really late in the game and this 2 mana card never makes a difference anyway. So it's just, no matter what happens with this card, it does not matter. And at that point, you'd really, really, really rather just be on curve.
Yep. Okay. All right. And I want to respond to this as well, because I think this is something, I see this in the chat right now. Someone is saying, wait, if you're saying 2 mana 2/2s and 3 mana 3/3s are bad, aren't you always assuming that the opponent has a 2/3 or a 3/4 on curve? No,
we know exactly what percent times your opponent has each particular stat distribution. Like, the algorithm knows all of this, and it's calculating all of it. It's like literally matching things up and like hitting each other with it. Like, it's like, I mean, it's not Monte Carloing it. It's like using math, but like, it's effectively trying to solve for that. And it's doing that through the first 7 turns, and it's also doing that while considering everything else, and it's degrading the amount that affects because there's other factors that come in, and you have different alternatives that you can play. It's complicated.
You guys will not imagine how bad those cards would be if the opponent always had a 2/3 or a 3/4. It would be unplayably bad.
Yeah.
Like, actually unplayably bad.
We also know when the opponent just like whiffs and doesn't like play anything, or when they use a hero power as rogue, for example, and it's all in there. The first, like, I would say like 3 turns are pretty academic. After that, like
Yeah.
the percentage in which that part of the calculation matters gets decreased as like directly proportional to the amount of other crap you're allowed to do in the game. Like it knows the board state if you choose to play 2 mana cards rather than a 4 mana card, for example, and what percentage of times you'll be doing that based on what you're being offered in the draft. It knows everything. Okay. Next up, Chromatic Egg, 84. Basically a similar score. So it's a pretty high score for an egg, although not the highest. Mechano Egg was a higher score than this back in the day. 5 mana 03, Battle Cry. Secretly discover a dragon to hatch into. Death Rattle, hatch! Exclamation point. Dragons are good. Dragons are big. This will be big.
Dragons are big. That's mostly the thing.
Yeah.
This is not a good score. This is like not.
This is Corehound level.
Yeah.
Like, also, okay, Corehound's bigger. Corehound's generally better than people give it credit for. We've consistently maintained that. But okay, yeah, we're in this zone. Yeah, you can't do anything with this card. You do have to buff it. But once you buff it, it's pretty good. So.
Yep. That's pretty much it. Okay. Let's talk about Skyfin.
Okay, I want to address something in chat right now that someone in Tarot is saying that dragons are not that big. I trust the algorithm on dragon size over humans. And
it's
you
discover. Well.
So
it's
if
not,
you have like
not,
one bad option out of 3, that's not make or break. Hell, if you have 2 bad options out of 3, you're still gonna get a big dragon.
You have 3 chances to get like a decent one. And remember, the score still isn't.
The score is still a bad score.
Bad.
Next up, Skyfin, another bad score. We are at the 5 mana level here. I don't know what's a 5 mana. Menagerie Magicians around here for 5 mana. We just did Egg, that was 5 mana. Nightblade is like 4 points away from 4 points away from this guy. That's pretty bad. Skyfin is a 5 mana 3/3 Murloc. Battlecry. If you are holding a dragon, summon 2 random Murlocs. So it's unplayable until you hold a dragon, and once you hold a dragon, you get a 3/3 and then 2 random Murlocs. Which
are... What's the size of a random Murloc? I know
small.
in
like
previous
2/3
metas, it was like
something.
a 2/3.
Yeah, it's like about
it was
a
like
2/3
or a 3/2-ish. Which, if you do hold a dragon and you summon a 3/3 plus a 3/2 and a 2/3, that's good. That's good. That's like really good. Yeah.
If this had no conditional, it would be like a near premium card.
Yeah. But no. So it's a 86.
Okay. Next up, Tentacled Menace. This one is people are not going to like this. It's a 5 mana 6/5 with what you may think is a positive battle cry, but is actually a very negative battle cry. It's a 5 mana 6/5 that says battle cry. Each player draws a card. We've established this. Each player drawing a card is good for you. Swap their costs. Okay, so a 5 mana 6/5 would be rated something definitely over a 100. Probably like a 110. So it is losing something like 25 points because of this Battlecry ability, where you are each drawing a card, which remember is good for you, but then you're swapping their costs. Now, swapping your costs, because you're just drawing a card, it's completely random, no one has any control over it, the worst player and the best player are equalized. And swapping the cost gives you a huge tempo swing to whichever player gets the lower cost.
And this is where one of the foundational aspects of the algorithm takes effect, in which if you are a really, really good player, which we're assuming like 75% win rate player, the effect of you needing that swing is a lot less than you gifting the win to your opponent. Yeah.
And even worse, if the swing goes against you, your card is now unplayable on top of that. So it's like the worst possible swing type. It's not just giving your opponent tempo. The card you draw is also an unplayable card. So it's like giving your opponent a card and tempo, or you getting a card and tempo. Or like, what you're hoping for is you both draw a card of basically the same mana value.
Right. So when it's bad, it is a double hit
Hmm.
bad on you. And that's why it is really, really bad. And that's why it takes such a huge hit.
Huge, huge hit. Now,
Yeah.
if you are a 50% win rate player, that is a good card. Not a great card. It's like probably Yeti
It's a
level.
good card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if your chance to win is the same as the other players, well, then it's a 5 mana 6/5, right?
Hmm.
Then that's pretty much a 5 mana 6/5, and that's good. That's a good static card. So bump this up to like a 110. So this is kind of where like Sunborn Valkyrie is,
Yeah.
right? This is where like Untamed Beastmaster is. Good cards, cards that people look at and they're like, oh, I'd happily draft that. So that's where it's at. But assuming that you are a good player, this is really bad.
Yeah.
Really, really
It's
bad.
a trap.
Yeah.
Don't get trapped, guys.
Yep.
But also like if you're really in need of a 5 drop and it's like the end of a draft and you just like need it, like fine, right? Like take the
Yeah.
hit. Like this is all like a lot of things are conditional, but just overall the value is that low. You do not want this card in your deck as a good player. I'm sure like on day one I'm gonna draft this and people are gonna be like, what? But you said it sucked, and I'm like, okay, but my whole deck sucks. I need the RNG now. It's high swing. Okay. Next up, 83 for 4 mana. We're like, I don't know. This is bad. It's a pretty bad area. This is like halftime scavenger, a dread corsair level. This is Wing Commander. 4 mana, 2/5. It is not a dragon, but it has +2 attack for each dragon in your hand. So if you have a dragon in your hand, it's a Yeti. If you happen to have 2 dragons in your hand, remember you're going to average less than 3 dragons in your deck. You could be a 6/5. And yes, the algorithm is counting every single dragon separately. And it's just the odds just aren't working out for you on this one.
Yep.
Then it's Hot Air Balloon, which is around where Frostwolf Grunt is, where Lance Carrier is. This card is a 1 mana 1/2 mech. At the start of your turn, gain +1 health.
Decent. Like it's one of those cards in which you look at it and you're like, oh, look at the possibilities. There's no possibilities really. There's really no possibilities. A lot of times it's going to be a 1/3 mech, which the mech doesn't like. We're not in a mech meta, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a 1 mana 1/2, which is really bad, like
Yeah.
really bad, guys. And even if this thing survives and gets huge, it has 1 attack, so not good. Not good,
Yep.
not good.
Don't
Get those fanciful dreams of hot air balloon carrying you to 12 wins out of your head. It's not going to happen,
Yeah.
guys. All right.
Like so many cards here, like this is why it's also kind of important to understand why these cards are bad, because a lot of these are traps, right? Like I could see people looking at Tentacled Menace and being like, "What a good card," or like even Wing Commander and be like, "I'm gonna draft all the dragons." They're not, or like Hot Air Balloon, the potential. There's no potential. And I guess similar with Chromatic Egg, but that's usually like I think people generally don't like eggs. But you could also think, oh my god, it can be any huge dragon. I just have to kill the egg. Well, it's going to be kind of hard to kill the egg. But they do have some value. These are not undraftable cards. You just don't want to draft them. All right, next. We're going down a bunch after this, actually. We're going down to 77. 77 is where Goldshire Footman is. It's where Priestess of Elune is. It's where Tauren Warrior is. Just to give you guys an idea. And that is where Horde Pillager is. 4 mana, 4/2 Pirate. Battlecry, equip one of your destroyed weapons. This is going to be higher in weapon classes. It is going to be lower in other classes. So this is kind of a meaningless score. So let me give you some context. What's this card called again? Horde Pillager. Okay, so in Warrior, Horde Pillager is a 99. It is the average card you're offered. You still don't want it in your deck. It's not as good as a Yeti. But it's draftable because you're a warrior. Your weapons are great. So if you played a weapon, you're going to get back a pretty damn good thing. So that the 4/2 stat line is kind of worth it. You just kind of hold on to it until you get another weapon.
It's also hurt by the fact that it doesn't sort of naturally occur a lot on turn 4 for a lot of your good weapons, right? So that's what hurts it a lot because people think of it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, there are some really good weapons in Warrior, which is true. They're like, whoa, what if this hits on a Fool's Bane? What if this hits on a Soul
Yeah,
Raise?
you have to
And you,
draft a Fool's Bane. You have to
yeah,
get the Fool's Bane by drawing it. You have to play the Fool's Bane until it is done, and then you play this card. So it's the two cards. This card has to be in your hand the entire time, or you have to top deck it.
yeah. And then you have to hope that it actually hits the Fool's Bane and not
Right.
one of your smaller weapons, right? So that's why it's not insane, but it is a lot better, and you're giving up quite a few stats for it. So
Horde
that's what's
Pillager in Rogue is a bit better. It's a 102. Okay, so it's not a bit better. It's about the same.
yeah,
And that's because you have a much more consistent ability to get something, right? Like your dagger, but at the same time, you're getting a dagger.
yeah. That actually fits because a lot of rogues will actually just dagger on turn 2, right?
Yeah.
Play something on
So
3,
you'll
and then on
get
turn
something.
4, you play this, and it's like getting a Small Knight's Justice with a 4/2 body, which is a fair 4-drop.
Yeah,
That's
like
like
if you're
very
playing a
fair.
rogue and on turn 4 you dagger and play a 2-drop, that's okay, right? That's not like a bad thing to happen. That's a pretty neutral thing to happen. Except here, your 2-drop's a 4/2.
Yeah.
So, and that's like worst case scenario.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to consider as well. Like how good it is in those scenarios. Don't get blinded by the fact that it's like, oh, I could get the Fool's Bane, I could get the Soul Raise with Warrior on that. You have to draft those cards first of all. You don't always get those. So the consistency that you get with Rogue and how much it fits with your game plan, because lots of times you just want a dagger on turn 2. Um, that matters a lot more than the sort of sexy high roll scenarios that are going through a lot of people's minds.
All right, next up at 74, this is a 5-mana card. We are in Wind Fury Harpy territory now, guys. It is a 5-mana 4/4 pirate. Battlecry, steal your opponent's weapon. Your opponent has to have a weapon. It probably already used up a charge. It has to be a good weapon, and you gotta wait for it, and it's otherwise unplayable. It's bad.
Cool.
Don't get trapped. Steal a weapon, oh my god. Bad. Bad, guys. Okay, next up, we're at 59. This is a huge drop. The Cobalt Sticky Fingers is at least 74, which is Wind Fairy Harpy level. Now we're at 69, which is like Dreadscale Knight level. That's the 1/1 Lifesteal Murloc, in case you don't remember what it is. It's worse than a Silverback Patriarch, which is the subject of memes. It is a Parachute Brigand. 2-mana 2/2 pirate. After you play a pirate, summon this minion from your hand. Not a lot of pirates. You're not going to summon it from your hand. Even if you summon it from your hand, you effectively save what should be 1 mana. Otherwise, it's a 2-mana 2/2.
When the upside is just very uneventful, that's when you know it's like, yikes, man. It's like, oh, what do I get when I hit this like pirate synergy? Which, yikes, man.
All
Pirate
right, let's try to
synergy
hit
is
some
like,
pirate synergies. Rogues actually have a decent amount of pirates, I think. Let's see what Parachute Brigand is. It's not going to be good. Parachute Brigand is a 74 in Rogue.
that's a lot higher.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it starts at such a low place, right?
I know. Yeah. So
And
that's
in
15
Warrior,
points
it
higher.
is
Wow.
63, so it's not
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
much in
Well,
Warrior.
like, rogues have a lot more.
Rogues
pirates.
have a lot of pirates, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
All
So it's where I don't know. It's where Cobalt Sticky Finger is for Rogue. Yay. All right. Going down. Next up, you have Death Charge. You want to cover this one?
Not really, but okay. Death Charge. 1 mana, 0/5. At the start of your next turn, deal 5 damage to all minions. Oh my
Everything.
gosh. Okay, let's compare this to a card that I think it'll naturally be compared to, which is Doomsayer. Doomsayer is almost twice the score. Doomsayer is 92. As a reminder, Doomsayer is a 2-mana 0/7. At the start of your turn, destroy all minions. I think it's easy to see why Doomsayer is so much better. Doomsayer is tankier, 7 health instead of 5 health. Doomsayer does more. It destroys all minions instead of just dealing 5 damage. And sometimes 5 damage is not enough. Also, and the thing that is more relevant with Doomsayer is Doomsayer on turn 3 on turn 2 to deny their turn 3 is a lot more relevant than Death Charge on turn 1 to deny their turn 2. Um, that is really, really important. And if you guys have drafted Doomsayer and if you've played it in the arena, you know that that is a very powerful thing to do. And Death Charge just, it doesn't fit into that. It's extraordinarily awkward. So that's why Death Charge just kind of sucks. That's it. Sorry, guys.
Yep. We'll keep an eye on this. This guy and
Yeah.
Doomsayer are not algorithmed. I think they are literally the only two neutral cards that are not algorithmed. And that's because the algorithm like kind of breaks down trying to figure out the board states and what your opponent has in their hands and whether they could take out this card or not. Because if they could take it out, it's such a huge swing. If they can't take it out, it's such a huge swing. And yeah. So these two are just from our experience and what our anticipation is. But there's no way this card's gonna approach Doomsayer levels, and we play with Doomsayer enough to like know its rough score.
Yeah, and I think most people would agree. It's like if you just look at this compared to Doomsayer, Doomsayer is just
Way
a
better.
ton better,
Yeah.
way, way, way better.
Yeah.
And no one is thinking of Doomsayer as like a super primo card.
Yeah.
So
And you don't care about the mana because it's not like you can play other minions with this guy.
yeah, the difference in mana here is very negligible, but the extra health and the fact that Doomsayer destroys all minions instead of quote just dealing 5 damage, which sometimes just isn't enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is very, very relevant. So yeah.
All right. Next up is the worst neutral non-legendary card of this set. It is Zoldrak Ritualist. I bet a lot of you didn't expect to see him here. It's
All right.
40. It makes him worse than it makes him almost Alarmobot. It makes him worse than a meat wagon. It makes him worse than a serpent ward.
Damn.
Although at this point it's all academic. Basically, you never pick this card.
You never pick this card. Well, I guess you could have it up against like Alarmobot and Dragon Egg, in which case you might have to think about it. But Zoldrak Ritualist is a 4-mana 3/9 taunt, which is wow, good stats. Battle Cry. Summon 3 random 1-cost minions for your opponent. Really bad. Extraordinarily bad. It's really bad. Okay, I don't have to say much about that. Like, you are not only increasing the variance in your games, most of the time, this is just like, yeah. Okay, that's it. It makes me angry to see this card.
Okay. If they get all 1/1s, then you have a 3/6 taunt and you basically gain like half a mana.
And that is
the
high
absolute
roll to the
yeah, that's the
extreme.
absolute best case.
Yes.
If any of them is just a 2/1 vanilla, then you have a 3/5 taunt, which is like okay. And more likely, one of their 1-drops is gonna have an ability, gonna have a synergy or something. And yeah, on top of that, they get to do stuff with their 1-drops. Like, the way to use this is like, oh, your opponent has a board of 7 minions. I get a free, like a free, they don't summon anything. Or, I'm about to like play a board clear. So I play this, and then I like consecrate, and then it doesn't matter because their 1-drops are probably gonna die. That's the times to use this. It's a very highly situational arena use / synergy card.
Yeah. All right. So, this is an interesting stat from Tarot. You have a 9% chance to summon a Death Charge with this.
Really? Oh, God.
Apparently so. I will trust Tarot's math on this. That's actually kind of funny.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting. Yeah. And I think you guys would be surprised because a lot of people, this is why, for example, Hungry Dragon is a lot worse than just a 4-mana 5/4, right? Like, if you just think about that kind of dynamic there, you don't want to increase that variance there because, and then here you are summoning 3 1-drops, and there are some good 1-drops in this game. There are some that are good in stats, and there are also some that draw them cards. There are some that have an additional effect. 1-drops are fairly powerful, and if you summon them 3, chances are they're going to get one that's pretty decent. If not in stats, then in effect. So don't draft this card.
All right. Let's move on to the legendaries. If you've been in here through the 25 minutes of this episode, listening to us talk about why bad cards are bad, which we actually got a lot of pushback on in Twitch chat. I was surprised that there was consistent pushback on almost every card that we named. We are now in the legendaries. So this is categorized in the same area because legendaries are also pretty irrelevant to the arena. Although they have upped the chances the legendaries are seen, so they're a little less irrelevant to the arena than they used to be. But still, you get like one legendary on average per deck these days. Probably a little less than that. So let's go over the legendaries. There are 5 neutral legendaries as usual. We will go from the best to the worst. There's no super terrible one this time around, so that's good. Legendaries oftentimes have like huge variance.
Yeah, there's no there's no major domo
here. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So the best one is Dragon Queen Alexstrasza at a score of 144. This is close to Barongeddon levels. This is a little bit lower than the Lich King. So Dragon Queen Alexstrasza is a 9-mana, 8/8 dragon. Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, add 2 random dragons to your hand. They cost 0. Yeah.
A lot of tempo.
So that is just so much tempo. You don't get to choose the dragons, but you get 2 of them. And we are introducing a lot of really good dragons. And some dragons draw you more dragons. So the tempo is insane. The chances that your deck has no duplicates, you don't exactly have to draft towards it because this is like late game, right? What you can do is still have some duplicates, and the chances of you having no duplicates by the time that you play this is, yeah, that's pretty good. This isn't like one of those other cards in which it's not like Prince, in which if you get it early, like you had to make sure that your deck had no duplicates, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to play it early, you have to make sure. So here is a card in which you can afford to have a couple of duplicates because by the time that you play it, you've probably already drawn those. And it is going to be a card in which this average score is very, it's the average of very polarized things. Sometimes this card really sucks. Yep. Sometimes the card is extraordinarily good. And the average is 144, which is almost premium, almost this.
I mean, it is premium. 144 is premium.
Yeah.
So the thing also to realize, if you're comparing this to the era where you had the other Highlander cards, right? The other legendaries like Bran and like Reno, that required your deck to have no duplicates, is that was in an era where there were buckets. So if you were offered a good card and you had a duplicate, you would pick another really good card. We are no longer in the era of buckets. So now if you're offered a really good card and you have a duplicate, even if you have a Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, you're probably still going to want to take the duplicate. Like imagine if you have a Fireball and you get offered a second Fireball and then like, I don't know, 2 Silver Moon Guardians. You're going to take the Fireball instead of a Silver Moon Guardian. Even with the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and you're just going to have to wait until you draw that card. And that's going to happen a few times in your draft.
Yeah, you don't have to Fireball, and you're like, well, that's fine. I don't pick the Fireball, I'll just pick the Polymorph instead. Yeah, so that option is gone. But this card, it can be so good. You're going to lose to this card, and you guys are going to be super tilted. And what's going to happen is they're going to play Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and one of the dragons that they get is going to be another Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. And one of the cards that they get from that is going to be another Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. And then suddenly they're going to have like, I don't know, a bazillion stats from no stats. And you are going to be super tilted. That's just the way it is. That's Hearthstone. Get used to it.
Yeah, but then you play that crappy card we talked about. You give them 2 death charges. And you clear the board with 1 card.
I don't know, man. It's still not enough to clear some dragons.
Okay. Next up, 130, still super high. 130, remember, Yeti's 112, so 130 is still premium, near premium, low premium. It's Frizz Kindle Roost. It's a 4-mana 5/4, reduce the cost of dragons in your deck by 2. Remember, this dragon has to be in your deck. This does not count any generated dragons, and you have to then eventually draw those dragons. But if you do, you get 2 mana later on. So
That's good.
it's good. It's
That's
not
good.
that good. I think
No.
you may think it's amazing because it's a dragon synergy, but remember, 3 dragons per deck, and the only cards affected by this are ones in your deck that you then have to draw.
See, I think some people would be surprised that it's this high. Like
Oh, but a
130,
4 mana 5/4
132.
itself is like a
Yeah.
110 or something. So this is
Yeah,
getting
so
like
we're
20
getting like
points.
20 points. And if/when you draw it, that's like extraordinarily good.
Yeah.
2 mana advantage is really, really high. That's really, really, really good. So that's where it ends up being. So I think some people might think it's low, some people might think it's high. I think it's fair. I
It's
think
fine.
it is where it is. Yep.
Okay, next up. This is a really weird card. Shuma.
I get really hungry. I think of shumai,
Yeah,
like,
no, me too. And it
right?
looks like a shumai without the teeth. Like if you
You know,
convert the teeth into like dough that's tasty and delicious and fluffy.
right, then it's a shumai.
It's a shumai.
Yes.
It's got nice
Yes.
juicy meat in the middle already.
Oh my gosh, some good shrimp shumai, right?
Well, I'm
Kinda
allergic to
looks
shrimp.
like-
Some good pork
Oh.
shumai, huh?
Sure. We can do.
They
Oh,
always
God.
have mix, and I'm always
All
like,
right,
I'll
let's get
take
through
a
this.
risk.
So I'm gonna get food after this. I deserve it. But all right, let's get through this. It is a 1/12, 7 mana, 1/7. At the end of your turn, fill your board with 1/1 tentacles. It's just decent tempo.
Yeah, this is good
just-
tempo, and it has 7 health. It's not gonna die that easily.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't know. There's much more to say on that.
You might
The
think it's
algorithm-
better than 112 because the 112 is a Yeti. You may be like, oh my god, this is clearly it's a generator, right? Like it can win you the game. It has all this potential. But it's not better than a Yeti because one, you're not really getting that many tentacles. You have board space issues. You're gonna play other cards. You're not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna play this 4-drop because I could get a free tentacle. You're gonna play the 4-drop. The next turn.
And it doesn't taunt. It doesn't like. So that's really what it ends up being. It's good stats, and a 1/12 is good.
Yeah.
Like we said, 1/12 is that's where you'll find a lot of like vanilla stats with upside cards being. And I think if you really think about it, that's sort of where this card belongs.
Yeah. I think it's really nice that they created a super complicated card that's worth the same as a Yeti. Like to me, that's great balance design right there. All right, Sathrovar is next. We're at 93 now. This is not good. This is where Alexstrasza is. It's where Gruul is. So it's not like terrible, but we're in like these cost so much, and there's such a dead card in your hand for so long that they need to have a really big effect. And they kind of just don't most of the time. So Sathrovar is a 9 mana 5/5 demon battlecry. Choose a friendly minion. Add a copy of it to your hand, deck, and battlefield. Ignore deck. We don't care about that. So you add it to your hand. Fine. You've effectively drawn a card that is like better and bigger than what you would normally draw, and then you summon it on the battlefield. That's good. So what kind of card do you have to hit for this to be kind of worth it? Like,
I mean,
a 5/5 at least.
Yeah, you're looking at a 5/5 to make this good.
Yeah,
right?
well,
and by good I mean like
Yeti.
acceptably good.
Yeah.
So that's not easy.
Yeah, you
That's
can't
not-
play it on the same turn as your target. It's freaking 9 mana.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to survive, and if it survives, you're probably in a decent spot. And it's like it holds this card back.
Yeah.
So 93 is not good, guys. 93 is like that's a yikes. So it's not terrible, but it's not good.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you're behind. Maybe helps when you're ahead, like questionably. Like
Questionably, real questionably.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Finally, you want to bring us home? Last card, last neutral card of Descent of Dragons, and we're done with all neutral cards.
Oh my gosh, it only took like 3 hours. All right, last neutral card, Kronk's Dragonhoof. Wait, that's not a thing. It's a Galakrond one.
Oh. Well, we somehow valued it. I bet it has no ability.
Valued it. Got you guys. I got you guys so hard, it got myself.
Okay,
That's
so
the
we'll
ultimate
remove that card from the tier list before we make it live. So we're just done with neutrals. All right.
Excellent. All right. So, guys, thank you. This is time to give shout outs. Thank you to all the subscribers on Twitch. We know we don't stream a lot, but you guys still give us money. And for that, we thank you. Thank you to our mods who are helping us out right now and to keep, degenerate, rowdy chat in line with, the band hammers ready. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to all of our YouTube watchers as well. Next, we're gonna talk about classes.
Oh my god,
gosh.
class cards, they exist.
Class cards.
Yeah. See you guys on the other side. Until then, this is Adwicto.
This is Merps. Bye.